Brakta Yawa, Brakta Yahushai, Brakta Yahawa, Brakta Yahushai, Brakta Yahawa, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rukakadash, dub honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Mystery and Rule Well, and to the Akim and Akwath, throughout the four corners of the earth, in these last days and times, and sincerity of mind, holding on to the gospel testimony of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. This Brahmanasha DC Camp, another beta lesson for the hopeful elect. Because in these last days and times, you're going to see so many moves by the elites to try and pacify our people, to lull them to sleep, to put them in that so-called RAM sleep. Yeah, that's what it's always about, man. Always looking for a way to mislead our people and make them think that all is safe. All right. So I'm going to read some quick precepts from the book of Proverbs. All right. The book of Proverbs is a good, it's a quick read. All right, it helps you to understand the nuances of life, in captivity, and how to apply the gospel. All right. So the book of Proverbs, chapter 19, verse 21 says this: "There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, that shall stand." All right. So all these legislation they keep pushing to try to make our people believe that all is well. It's just an illusion. All right. And they always like to use our people as tokens to make them think that they're making progress. Yeah, making progress in this world, that's not exactly what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to making progress in the name of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, that we get delivered, progress in knowing who we are, all right, in returning back to our nationality. That's what we're looking forward to, all right. They could pass all this legislation to say, you can't discriminate, you can't, do all that based on race, based on so-called gender, based on religious affiliation. And then they come around and say, well, lynching is it's a hate crime. Well, it's still a crime, but in the scriptures it tells you that in certain situations, man, that the Lord has deemed the person to be put to death. Lynching is is biblical. Yeah, so all these laws, man, that Esau likes to pass is not going to turn the law of the Lord upside down, all right? Because the law of the Lord is the foundation, all right? It's the foundation that we have to keep in mind, while we're moving around in this society. So all these laws we like to pass is not really going to have an effect on the course of our gospel, the testimony of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. So they could pass as many hate crime bills as they want. It's not going to change anything, and the same laws that Jake is happy to, to be screaming and yelling that the Democrats, they care about us, they care about black people, we're doing something for black people. Like, yeah, the same laws they're passing to so-called protect you, the same laws are going to use against you. Yeah, so that's how annoying and bogged out our people have become with this system. They're drinking that wine of Babylon, that Babylon Kool-Aid. They're just drinking it, cup after cup, bucket after bucket, thinking that in such a good case. All right. So the word of the Lord is going to be established, you know, as the Lord has already set it in place. Okay, so I'm just gonna play this clip real quick, and I get some more precepts.
In a Rose Garden ceremony at the White House Tuesday, President Joe Biden signed into law the first federal legislation to make lynching a hate crime, addressing a history of racist killings in the United States.
Their crimes, trying to vote, trying to go to school, trying to own a business or preach the gospel. False accusations of murder, arson, and robbery.
Yeah, so the time will come, when the so-called government have to push the MOTV, they're going to remember the anti-lynching laws. The scripture talks about that the saints that were beheaded for the testimony of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. Yes, this just shows you how funny and deceptive the system is. For anyone that understands the scriptures and studies it properly, it just don't make no sense. The past law saying, well, lynching is going to be a crime. It is going to be a crime. It's going to be a crime. But then they're working towards chopping up people's heads that choose not to bow down to the image of the beast, not take that chip. So that's how weird this system is, man. A system of confusion. All right. So I'm going to read the statute in the book of Deuteronomy, where it tells you about the Lord's principles concerning judgment for a sin that is worthy of death. All right. So Deuteronomy chapter 21 verse 22 says this: and if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree. All right. But thou shalt in any wise bury him that day, for he that is hanged is accursed of the Most High, that thy land be not defiled, which the Lord Yahweh thy power giveth thee for an inheritance. All right, so that tells you that under certain circumstances, lynching is part of the scriptures, man. That's what it says. A sin worthy of death, okay? A sin worthy of death. Certain crimes cannot be considered as sin. That's how confusing Esau's system has become. All right, but it's messed up, man. You don't want to. If you go into it, it's just going to keep on prolonging the lesson. All right. So, for those that are learned in the scriptures, they understand the meat. That's a heavy understanding that we have to get acquainted with. Okay. So hey, when there are no rocks, you stone the person to death, and you got a tree and you got a rope from a farmer, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to lynch, And that's what happened in the ancient world, man. That's what happens in the ancient world. In a place there are no rocks, nothing, no, scripture talks about stoning people to death, So when there are no stones and the judgment has to be swift, hey, things gotta happen, So that's how jacked up it is. But here in America, man, people have lost their lives for, so many things that are not considered sin. It's basically, protesting, based on hatred. All right? It wasn't based on how you say it's breaking the law. But that's the judgment of the Lord upon our people, for being disobedient. So he used Esau, he used the Edomites to target our people. All right. So I want to read this real quick. It's going to be from the book of Numbers. It tells you clearly that there is no way around it. Okay. Concerning the violation of the law, when a person's life that's innocent is taken away. Because I read in Deuteronomy chapter 21 concerning that the land shall not be polluted. Okay, so Numbers 35 verse 33 says this: So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for by blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. All right. So they're not going to read this precept to you out there at the so-called signing ceremony, of the bill like that. All those pastors that were there, they didn't bring out this precept. Numbers 35 verse 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land. All right. So when you claim America is a Christian nation, God-fearing nation, well, they got to accept the judgment that comes with breaking the laws of the Lord. All right, so it's normal that the Lord jacks this place up. Comes against America. All right, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Yeah, so if the government is complicit in the lynchings of the past, they got to pay for it. That's the reason why the Most High has to bring America down. Okay, so there is no qualms about that. You just have to accept the destruction that the Lord is bringing. All right, so I'll play the clip some more, and then I get some more precepts.
Simply being black.
The law is named for Emmett Till, a 14-year-old black boy who was brutally murdered in Mississippi in...
Yeah, they keep pushing black, African Americans, and all that stuff. They'll never say Israelites. That's one thing you have to remember. Israel, Israel, Israel. They'll never want to bring that name up. They'd rather call you black, rather call you colored, rather call you African American. But they'll never acknowledge you as an Israelite. So remember that, and you understand that the Lord is angry with the wicked every day. So what do you think the Lord is going to do?
1955. The bill makes it possible to prosecute any conspiracy to commit a hate crime that results in death or serious bodily injury as a lynching. Till's death and an all-white jury's dismissal of charges against two white men who later confessed to his killing drew national attention to the atrocities and violence that black Americans face and became a civil rights rallying cry. Vice President Kamala Harris, the country's first black and Asian American vice president, co-sponsored the bill while serving as a U.S. Senator from California.
Yeah, so all they do is just set up the show, set up the plan of how to pacify Jake here in America, man. When they're talking about immigration, all of a sudden they want to use the Northern Kingdom as the poster child. When they're talking about discrimination, racism, they want to use the Southern Kingdom as a poster child. So that's how they manipulate, the minds of the people to make them believe that the government is on their side, but it's not really on their side. The beast, the beast was never on the side of the Lord, to bring righteousness to our people. His job is to bring destruction. All right. So Psalms chapter 55, verse 21 says this: The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Yeah. So this is just a tool that they're gonna use to come against our people. That's what they use. They're gonna do everything they can, to keep our people at the bottom of the barrel and make them bend the knee to the will of the elite. All right, and they put all this legislation out there to convince our people to trust in the system. That change takes time. That you gotta be patient. You gotta keep on fighting. That's exactly what they want our people to believe. To make them believe that if they vote them into office, that they will seek out legislation to make their lives hospitable. But Babylon is not the place of hospitality for our people. All right, the scripture already tells you that in Micah chapter 2, verse 10, that this is our pit, a destructive place. If you trust in a place like this, it's going to destroy us. All right, so another precept will be from the book of Sirach chapter 12. Right, Sirach chapter 12. You read from verse 10 to verse 12. It says, "Never trust an enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness." So the system that this so-called official represents is not for us. Okay, we need to get that clear in our mind. All right, don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the tip. Don't fall for the tip. The tip is just to keep you hushed up and make you believe that things are gonna improve, but not. All right, Jake is still struggling with the effects of inflation, oppression, discrimination. The polluted food supply, air supply, water supply. So it's just terrible. Yeah, they're gonna pass legislation to make it a crime to introduce harmful substances into food. They're gonna do all that surreptitiously, behind closed doors to poison the food supply, with their so-called GMO tactics. All right. So verse 11 says this: "Though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know his rust hath not been altogether wiped away." Yeah. So the same person, singing the praises of the New World Order, the same person signing the anti, lynching legislation, just shows you, man, something's not right. Yeah, so you just have to be very, very, very cautious about what you hear. And people running around all joyous, thinking that in times of peace and safety, the scripture tells you that, man, when our people are yelling and screaming peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. All right. So verse 12 says that Sirach 12 and 12, "Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place." And that's their goal. They want to overthrow the elect of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. And they have to walk several angles by using 2/3 as a stumbling block. Use them as an obstacle for the elect. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. Yeah, so that plan is to get the birthright back, okay? And this is just the doing of Amalek. All right, they decide what bill gets voted on, and they tell these so-called legislators how to vote. So that's how terrible the system is, man. All right. And thou art the last, remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Yeah, so that's a good warning, to our people. Sirach chapter 12, verse 12. Yeah, so all this is just for them to get the birthright back. This Edomites, man, the top elites of Edom, they will do everything in their power to keep our people pacified, keep them in that sleepy state of mind, you know, enticed with all types of trinkets to hold on to a system that they're tearing apart, you know. So they want our people to just go blindly into the so-called NWO, yeah, and think that things will change for the better, but that's not how it's gonna work. So you just gotta be cautious, man, because the Lord is gonna, work things out. So you don't want to be attached to the enemy when the Lord brings sudden destruction upon this place. All right. So that was upon the Akim. We have to be circumspect in these last days and times, so that we do not bear the brunt of the Most High's wrath. Shalom.